Hey there, the perfect tutor, Mr. Gilbert CJ. So, this topic is very important. Make sure you understand. Letter writing. Letter writing. We are going to deal with informal letter, semi-formal letter, and formal letter. My main focus is on formal letter. That's where I'll focus much. But I've just taken it as an opportunity to teach these two because they are very simple. They are very simple. So our main focus is on the formal letter, but we also talk about these two. Okay. So we start with an informal letter. An informal letter is also known as a friendly letter. Friendly. It's also known as a friendly letter. This is simply a letter written to a friend, someone of your age. A letter that you write to your friend. Some may wonder. But we've got friends who are older than us. We are looking at the relationship between the two of you. Even if that person is older than you, but how do you address each other? Do you address each other in a respectful way, or you just address each other in a friendly manner? That would depend, or that would determine the kind of letter that you write to that person. So in cases where you address that person as a friend, you play. That one requires a friendly letter, also known as an informal letter. Okay, this letter is very simple. It's very simple. And it comes in section A of paper 1. This one comes in section A of paper 1. You just write a letter to your friend explaining what and what. Let us talk about the format. The format of a friendly letter is very simple. You start with the sender's address. This is the address of you, the person writing that letter. Are we together? The address of the person writing that letter is known as the sender's address. And that's you now. How do you write this address? If this is your page, this is your page. The sender's address should be written on the top right. Top right is here. So this is where you need to write your what? Your address. You say low cost. If you have the box, you put then district, put Lusaka there, put Lusaka. After that, you write the date. Look at this. Let me write it properly so that you see. Let me use practical address. Let me use Knowledge World Academy. Knowledge. You write Knowledge World Academy. After you write that, you should write a what? A comma. A comma there. Just after Knowledge World Academy, you should write a comma. Then you write the P.O. box, the post office box. You write the numbers, you write a comma. After that, you write the district. After the district, then you must put a full stop. The sender's address should slant. Have you seen how it is moving? Like this. The sender's address should slant. After the sender's address, leave a space here and then write the date. The date should be in line with the first letter here. You see this letter here? So, 4th May. You write 4th May here. 2022, full stop. The date is not part of the address. The date is not part of the address. So you should leave a gap or a space, then you write your date in a straight line with the first letter of your main address. Good. So that's how you write the sender's address, which is your address. In the exam, you won't be provided with the address. They won't say your address is this, use this address. No. You only think of your own address. Just come up with any address. There are many addresses in the world, and they don't consider these numbers to be actual or real numbers. To say, no, your box of this is what and what. No. You only put any numbers here. Post office box 8001. As long as you have put numbers there. They don't consider that. After you write your address, this is the address, your sender's address, you are done. You write your address. This carries 3 marks in an exam. You must be very careful in writing this. All this, you must be putting commas. Should write comma, comma, comma. On the district, that's why we put the full stop. The district, that's why we put the what? The full stop. After that, you write your what? Your address. After that, you write your address. So not your address, but the date. I'm trying to do something here. It's not performing. Okay, never mind. After your sender's address, so write your address now. You would go to the salutation here. You go to the salutation. How do you write the salutation for an informal letter? Here we address a person in his or her name, because you cannot be having a friend whom you don't know the name. A friend must be known to you. So we always address, or we always salute using a name in the friendly letter. So you can say dear Chanda, dear Mwape, dear Mary, dear anything, as long as you use a what? A name. So after the address here, now this is the imaginary line. You come here, dear Chanda, and you put a what? A comma. After this, you go to the what? The introduction. The introduction must be indented. You must indent. You must leave a gap from the imaginary line. You leave a gap. Then you write. What do you write in the introduction? Here we only greet. You greet your friend. In the informal letter, the language must not be formal. You can use any language you want, but not insults. Yes, you can use any language. Hi, my friend. How are you? Hello. You can use all those phrases. They are allowed in an informal letter because you are simply addressing your friend. It's your friend, so you can use any language as long as you don't exceed the limit. You go to the many body. Number 4 is the many body now. After the introduction, you write the many body. In the many body, you simply explain the reason for your letter. Why have you written that letter? No, I've written this letter so as to encourage you that you should be doing this and this. You explain. After that, you write your conclusion. In the conclusion, simply you write a short paragraph that will enhance or that will call for a reply from your friend. Paragraph that will call for a reply from your friend. I look forward to seeing you replying to my letter. Anything that will make that person reply. When you address, get this one cleared. Get this one cleared. On the addressing here. You see this one saying, Dear Chanda. Dear Chanda. When you address a person in using the name, then you must use yours sincerely. Are we together? When you use the name in the salutation, then when concluding, you use yours sincerely. But here, when you don't use the name, you do not know the name of that person. For example, in the formal letter, the one we are going to discuss, you say, Dear Sir or Madam. you say yours faithfully. Are we together? So we don't just use these things, these phrases like anyhow. No, they have got instances where they are required or they are supposed to be used. Yours sincerely is only used when you use the name in the salutation. Yours faithfully, we use it when you don't know the name to indicate in the salutation. Are we together? So that's how you end the informal letter. Yours sincerely and your name in capital letters. Here, you are not required to put your signature, please. Your signature will spoil things. Your signature will just spoil things. Will just ruin your letter. You lose marks. So just write yours sincerely and name in capital letters. For example, yours sincerely, Chanda Mwape, in capital letters. You are done. Now I want to include that line. You are done. That is an informal letter. Apart from that one, we have a semi-formal letter. A semi-formal letter is a letter written to someone older than you. A person who is older than you. It carries the same format with that of a friendly letter. Let's differentiate a formal letter. A semi-formal letter and informal letter. For the semi-formal letter, here you know the person you are writing the letter to, but he or she is not your friend. He is someone or she is someone older than you, and you respect him or her. For example, your auntie, your father, your friend's mother. These people are respected. You cannot be using German language. Yeah. So, these people are respected. They are older than you. They are older than you. So, whenever you write a letter to one of these, then you're writing a semi-formal letter. It's a semi-formal letter. Whereas when you write to that friend of yours, a friend whom you can tell everything, or as long as that person is just a friend, we call that as an informal letter. Make sure you take note of that difference. These two have got the same format. They have the same format. What differentiates them is the language. Just the language you use differentiates the semi-formal and the informal letter. And the salutation. Salutation also differentiates this. In the salutation there you say, Dear Chanda. That's in the informal letter. You put the name here, Dear Chanda, because that person is your friend. But in this one, which is the same formal letter, you will say, Dear Mr. or Mrs. Changwe. You see? Here we say, Dear Mr. or Mrs. Changwe. Just to show that you respect them. This is just to show respect for them. So that differentiates the same formal letter from the informal letter. Just the language and the salutation. Otherwise, the format is just the same. Sender's address, salutation, there you say, Dear Mr. Introduction, you greet. The main body, you explain the reason for writing that letter to them. Then in the conclusion, you say, Yours sincere, because you have indicated the name there. Dear Mr. Soko, Dear Mr. Chanda. So you indicate the yours sincerely and your name in capital letters. You are done. Now we come to this one. This one is very important. The semi-formal letter. This is where we have the application letter is one of the semi-formal letters. The request letter and the recommendation letter. Now we'll discuss the formal letter in general. The format applies to any formal letter. As long as it's just a formal letter, you use the format that we are going to discuss. Are we together? So, what is a formal letter? This is simply a letter written to people in their official positions. You are addressing people in their official positions. It can be your friend, but as long as you are not addressing that person in a friendly way, but in his or her official position, then you're writing a formal letter. Can you apply for a job from your friend? Then you use the friendly letter. No, my friend, I need a job. When that person is in office, he or she is no longer your friend. He or she is the manager or the director or anything. You see? So there you address him or her in the position, in that official position. You use the formal letter. You use the formal letter. The formal letter does not require you greeting. Even if the manager is your friend, you don't greet. Good evening. Good morning, manager. No. They'll say, this person, you are perfect tutor. Okay, so good. You are only required to write necessary things in the formal letter. No greetings. You simply go straight to the point. And for this one, it doesn't follow the format of the word limit to say 250 to 350 words. Which letter can have these words? So when this comes in the exam. You don't need to follow this 250 to 350 words, 2 pages later. Who will read that later? So a letter should just be short. And for a letter, it's only 3 paragraphs. You're only required to write 3 paragraphs at least. You write 4, that's maximum is 4 paragraphs, because you don't need to. What are you explaining? You don't need to explain anything in the letter. Simply give brief accounts. Use highly formal language. Be polite as much as possible. Be polite. Use respectful language in the formal letter. Good. So let us talk about the layout or the format of this formal letter. It has 2 addresses, unlike the friendly letter and the semi-formal letter. This one has 2 addresses. How many? 2 addresses. Very good. The first one is the sender's address. The sender's address is written on the top right. The same way like we write the sender's address in the informal letter. Then secondly, you write the date. Just after this address here, you write the date. You leave a gap. I talked about this. From the sender's address and the date, you write the title and address of the receiver. Now, here, if this is your page, the receiver's address should be written at the bottom left. All these things must be flashed with the imaginary line. You don't need to leave a space, because the sender's address should slant, but this one should just be flashed with the imaginary line. Everything, you don't need to leave any space. I'll demonstrate this. Don't worry. Do not worry. After that, you write the salutation. Salutation for the formal letter, you use dear sir or madam. Dear sir or madam, because you do not know the person you are writing that letter to. It's like you are writing a letter to a company. You don't know who will even read your letter. So just say dear sir or madam. Dear sir or madam. Whoever is going to read. After you write that, that's what we call the salutation, you go to the reference. The reference. What's that letter about? Are you applying for a job? Are you requesting something? You write the reference. The reference must be written in capital letters, and it must be short and precise. Must be written in capital letters, short and precise. Reference paragraph we must. No. So a reference must be written in capital letters, and it must be short make sure you summarize it. So I taught summary. Good. After the reference, you write your introduction. Here, you don't need to greet. Simply state what the letter is about. Are you applying for a job? You can just say, with reference to the advert that is running on social media, I wish to apply for a job as a what and what and what. That's how we write an application letter. You don't need to greet. That's the introduction. Apart from that, you go to the main body. The main body briefly explain why you are applying for the job, or briefly explain what the letter is about. Let me say, because it's not always that you'll be applying for a job. Maybe you'll be requesting something from a school or from an institution. So in the main body, you explain what the letter is about. Conclusion, you simply say yours faithfully. Remember what I said? Here you've not addressed the person in the name. You've used dear sir or madam. So put yours faithfully, put a signature, full stop, then your name in capital letters. You are done. How do you write that? For example, this is your page. You say Knowledge World Academy. I write, you put a comma, P.O. Box. I write the numbers there, comma, Lusaka, full stop. You write a full stop. Then after a full stop, that's a full stop. Yeah, these things. After you write a full stop, there after Lusaka, write a full stop. Good. You leave a space, a gap. Then you write the date in line with the first letter here. Now you're lying. You have a perfect tooth. Okay, thank you. That's a commercial break. Good. So after you write the district, you write the date in a straight line with the first letter there. Have you seen? A gap. Then you write 4th or 5th June 2022. Have you seen? This is how you should arrange these things so that you get the 3 marks for free. 3 marks. Sender's address, top right, should slant. Are we together? After you write the sender's address, you write the sender's address. What do you write? You write the receiver's address here. So let's say this is the imaginary line. You say the personnel manager. Personnel is double N. Personnel manager, comma. The personnel manager, AXA Enterprise, comma. You put a comma. This must be flashed with the imaginary line. You shouldn't leave a gap here. After that, you write the post office box, put the numbers, comma, and then you put the district, Lusaka. You put a full stop. If you see now, we write the receiver's address. Here there is the sender's address and the date. Then you leave a space, and then you write the receiver's address at the bottom left, like this. No date here. You don't write it there, a date. And then you leave a gap. You see? You leave a gap. Then you say, dear sir or madam. Here, you don't need to start from here as if the dear sir or madam, the salutation is part of this address. No, you need to leave a space. So you've written the sender's address, which is your address, and the receiver's address. Leave a space between the receiver's address and the salutation. You say, dear sir or madam, comma, dear sir or madam. The dear sir or madam should be flashed here with the imaginary line. It shouldn't leave a space. And then you indent the reference. You say reference. Reference, should write it in short form. Application for a job as an office assistant. So you write this in capital letters. Application something something. You write as an office assistant. Have you seen? The salutation, the reference indented, and then you write what the letter is about in capital letters. Then you go to the introduction. The introduction here, you need to indent. You need to indent. With reference, you go, you write. Just a brief account of what the letter is about. That's the introduction. From the introduction, you go to the main body. From the main body now, how do you conclude? So we said, since we have addressed using dear sir or madam, then we want to use the name. We want to use yours faithfully, yours sincerely, but we use yours faithfully. So here you write yours faithfully, comma, signature. Listen, signature, then full stop. After the full stop, you write your name, Chirwa, in capital letters. Are we together? This is how you write a formal letter. Yours faithfully, comma, your signature, full stop, your name in capital letters. You should write your full names here. Chirwa Chembo. You include your what? Your surname and your first name. Are we together? This is the format we use when you're writing an application letter, when you are applying for a job. This is the format you are required to use. So it's a very simple thing, straightforward thing. Just go through the format and know what you're required to do, what you're supposed to do. Otherwise, letter is very simple. This one comes in section B. The formal letter comes in section B. Carries 20 marks. The semi-formal and the informal letter comes in section A. Make sure you master how to write all the three forms of letters.